everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Iconic Insights podcast by Icon Accounting. So today we are joined by Rabia Mirza, who is the founder and CEO of Leadership and HR Solutions. So welcome, Rabia. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Shauna and Sean.
Not at all. The pleasure is all ours. Pleasure is all ours, Rabia.
So normally you say this, so
you can take the spotlight this time.
Perfect. So normally how we start is we have a round of quick fire questions. So brief questions, just basically for our listeners to get a bit of a background into yourself, if that's okay.
Right, okay.
Great.
So you're not going to grill me, okay?
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll get there. We will get there, Rabia.
Yeah.
I'll kick them off, yeah?
Sure.
So what was your first job title, Rabia?
Oh, like the very first one?
Very first professional job title, I suppose, if you want to kind of...
Well, my first job was actually in Highlands, which was a newsagent, you know.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in Kilmainham, so my first job was the corner shop. It was Highlands and then Spar, and now it's closed down. Yeah. Okay. So that was the first one, whatever, sales assistant, and I don't know.
the entry point to customer experience, I think I was similar, to be honest.
That was in college, like, you know, your part-time job,
Yeah.
pocket money,
Happy days.
that kind of stuff.
What word do you hate hearing?
Trigger words. What are the buzzwords these days that really annoy me? Maybe authentic.
Okay.
I think everyone thinks they're authentic, but it's just So that would be a trigger word. For
Yeah,
me.
fair. If you had to change your first name, what would you change it to?
These are hilarious. What would I change? I like the name Salma, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I just plan to name. Yeah, if I had a kid, I would name her Salma. Yeah.
Lovely.
So are you an early bird or a night owl?
I think there are different meanings to that for people. So for me, I'm not a chirpy person in the morning, but I do like to get up early and have my time to meditate and be in nature, walks or cycling or rowing.
Yeah.
First thing, yeah.
Very much like me then. I like my walks
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah.
So
It's like almost a reset, isn't it? First
Yeah.
thing in the morning to kind of start your day.
Yeah.
Start your day in the right way. Do you have a comfort food? Or if you do, what is your go-to comfort food?
Food.
Any food.
Yeah, I'm a big foodie. Oh my God, I love eating. Yeah. I love eating. I don't like cooking, but I love eating. Yeah.
And if you were to pick one, what would you say your ideal comfort food would be?
Cuisines. Oh, comfort food. Fried chicken.
Fried chicken? I'm absolutely with you on that one.
Yeah.
favorite type of music?
I like instrumental deep house. I'm into that these days. Yeah. So I go through phases of what I like, and that's very relaxing, and it's also very uplifting. You know, when you're trying to do a project, stick on the headphones, or if you're on the bus or whatever. Yeah.
Good.
It's nice.
Second similarity. So we've got house music and we've got fried chicken. Is there anything that you can't live without?
Food.
Perfect. We've covered that one.
Yeah.
The best advice you've ever received?
Be yourself. The trigger word was going to come up there again. But be yourself. Yeah, was a good advice. Back in my youthful days, I think it was one of my managers, who I admire. Yeah. He'd said to me, like, don't, you're trying too hard. Just be yourself. You don't need to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was nice.
Excellent. Do you have any pets?
No,
No
I'm
pets.
not really an animal lover.
That's okay.
What has been your favorite age so far?
Probably 33, 34. Yeah. So about 10 years ago. Or over 10 years. Oh God, this is, when you're getting old. Over 10 years ago. I lived in Vancouver at the time, and I was just out hiking and camping every weekend. It was just super. Yeah.
Good time.
Probably the best days. Yeah.
Lovely. What's your favourite hobby outside of work? And you want to just touch on that maybe?
Yeah, I love rowing. Yeah, it's just so peaceful being on the river and just so tranquil, and trees, water.
Yeah, excellent.
5 elements. Yeah. So nice.
Lovely.
The last concert you attended?
Oh God, I don't do concerts. God, I have to go back to my 20s for a concert. Was it Britney Spears? Oh my God. It could have been actually in the RDS.
Yeah.
Or maybe the oh my God, I didn't remember that. It's Beyonce, the group. Oh, I can't even remember.
Oh,
Destiny's Child.
Destiny's Child,
Yes,
yeah. So
Excellent.
one of them, yeah.
Excellent. Have you got a bucket list? And if so, what's the top item on that bucket list?
The Egyptian pyramids, yeah. Tutankhamun's
Brilliant.
tomb, to be precise. I don't know if you're allowed to go in, but I'd love to go in and just pretend to go back in time and
Yeah.
see what happened, you know, like just, yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
It's on my bucket list, amongst other things, but that's
Top.
been, the top one.
I've got a dream the VR will eventually bring us there. That we'll
Yeah.
be able to, you know, like put on a headset and you can type in the ear and kind of go back and actually walk the streets as if it was
Oh.
that. I'd love
Yeah.
that. I'd love that.
Wow.
It's like bringing history to life almost.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
I'd
that's
love that as well.
yeah. I think like, you know that. If,
I'd say that's going to happen. Do you know
Yeah.
the way, like, it's one of those things you laugh at going, oh, yeah, that's,
yeah, but if there's a use case for VR, in my opinion, that's it. That's, you know, that's the starting point.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the starting point. So if anyone's listening, I want my shares. Please.
Yeah. I want 4D food delivered in a text.
And final question. So, have you ever won a contest?
Yeah, I've won contests, loads in school, you know, for the extracurricular activities, reading champion or whatever it was called, netball, which is basketball for girls because I went to a convent, maybe dancing classes in school, not Irish dancing, probably is Charleston though, yeah. I was good at that. Still know the steps. I'm not going to break out into a dance. What else? Probably in debating teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many hats, Rabia. That's the quick fire question summed up. So thank you very much. Hopefully it gives a little bit of an insight.
And that wasn't drilling.
No, now we're going to get into the drilling part. You did give us a little bit of a start to this question, to be honest, Rabia, and you gave us some insight as to where I suppose your career started out whilst you were working part-time during your college days.
Yeah.
But can you tell us a little bit more in terms of your career journey? So what kind of happened thereafter?
Yeah, so I started in HR, I guess, which is essentially my background. So my first job in HR was with B&Q, standalone role in Swords, actually in Airside. So it was deja vu when I went back to the office, going, oh my God, I used to work here. But yeah, that was a standalone role. So that was a great experience, HR coordinator. And then I worked my way up to officer to manager to managing multiple sites across different countries, continents. Moving to Canada, same there. Then I moved back home and worked for a company managing their 4 sites across Ireland, and then started my own business just over 2 years ago. Yeah.
Excellent. And what kind of inspired you, I suppose, to transition from that corporate world of HR, if you will, into starting your own leadership and HR solutions?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that can be done differently to how they're done regularly in most organizations. Yeah, I think, it's human resources, but the way people are maybe managed, treated, can be dealt with quite differently. I'm not saying every organization is like that, but I think there's a lot of organizations that need to just look at the whole piece in a very different way. And that's what I bring to the table in my work, in the HR consulting piece.
Excellent. Excellent.
And the coaching piece as well, yeah.
Yeah. Just even, I suppose in my professional career, I definitely agree with you that there's some companies that are probably way too loose and some companies that are maybe a little bit too rigid.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely, I think, like you say, that whole kind of looking at the whole picture rather than just focusing in on the rule book, if you like,
Yes,
is very much required, especially in today's world.
absolutely, yeah.
And I think, let's say before we go into the company itself, so as a business owner starting the journey, how was that? Was there any key learnings or anything you would do differently if you were to go back 2 years ago and start again?
Stick with the profession that you know is number one. Don't try to do something completely different to what you don't know, because there's enough learning in having a business than to learn the profession on top of it.
Yeah.
So if you're coming from the HR background, coaching, it's ideal to stay in that because there's so much learning in running a business. But get somebody that you trust to guide you step by step on exactly what to do to get out there. Like getting clients is the biggest and hardest thing to do. Like the HR coaching is the easiest, or whatever your profession is, that's the easiest thing you can do with your eyes closed if you're, experienced enough. Other than that, getting clients is the hardest bit. So get somebody that you trust that will guide you step by step, and then follow that process. And if that consultant or mentor doesn't work out, find another one. Don't keep staying with the same one if they're not working out for you. Like if you're not seeing the results, just leave and make sure that you've got your contracts with these people signed and there's an exit clause. Because unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that will try to sell their services to you to say this is what you need to do. And it's not actually true. I've been burned financially and mentally as well of spending a lot of money on people just wanting my money and then not delivering, and giving me false hopes. So you need to be kind of careful, but it is part of business, as well. But that's where you need to be very disciplined in how you run your days, because you can work 24/7, 7 days a week. You really can. And if you think you're disciplined in your work as an employee, double that for your business, because you just need to be, okay, I need to spend an hour here doing this or 2 hours here on a Monday morning, whatever, and stick to it. Like that is so key. Otherwise you are just going to do everything
and burn out
all
ultimately.
The time and burn out. Yeah. And again, it's all part of learning. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that hasn't done that. You're kind of lost, headless chicken at the beginning, but it's all part of it. Yeah.
There's some gems in there, to be fair, Rabia, because I think the consultancy piece is the first and foremost to actually seek, a coach or a consultant that can come in and help you start the process. Yeah. But equally, you should have no loyalty beyond the value that they're providing to you. So if they're not providing value, don't feel like you should be, staying and waiting. Yeah. Ultimately seek other professionals that can essentially step in.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a shortcut, like you say, is if they're a coach or a consultant within the area that you're actually looking to get into, it's a shortcut. You mentioned that you were posting content, so you were very much kind of socially selling yourself, I suppose, before you actually left that full-time position.
And to be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just posting information about HR and information about coaching and just educating people and trying to help and give some tips and stuff like that. But, there's a lot more to it than just posting online and trying to look famous. Like it's very, it can be a bit daunting. Like, for example, LinkedIn is my main social media platform. So prior to having my business, did I ever use LinkedIn apart from getting jobs? No, I never posted on LinkedIn. And then, as a business, it's different. So you might feel like you're showing off, but you're not. It's just take it. This is business. This is how I'm going to get clients. Yeah. But you need to have a plan, a strategy in place for social media marketing. And marketing is key. Marketing and then sales, and you have to again try out different ways of doing it, whatever works for you. Like do what you're comfortable with, not what somebody's necessarily telling you what you should do. Like if you're not comfortable in front of a camera, you know what I mean, like don't do it. Or unless you're willing to get better at it, that's different. But whatever your style is, people are going to gravitate towards that. So don't try to be somebody you're not, essentially. And you just learn that over time. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm perfect. It's all a learning curve, but I do like going out and networking strategically and meeting people. That's how it works in Ireland anyway. For my line of business is you need to get out there and you need to be going to the right events, not just different events, which I did in my first year because everyone was telling me and I didn't know what I was doing. So I was going everywhere, but it takes up so much of your time. A lot of them are in the evenings and weekends, and it's just, it's a lot of your time. But, things like this, being on a podcast, doing interviews, speaking at conferences and things like that, those kind of things work for my business. So I do that and I enjoy it as well. And I think once you know what you're talking about, it's just kind of natural, right? Like when we talked earlier, you're not too scripted. I'm not too scripted. I don't do well with scripted stuff. So I have to kind of put my own spin on it. Freestyle or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
And not to bring back up your favorite buzzword, but it does. It comes across as much more authentic, doesn't it? Yeah. In terms of, I suppose, obviously, I'm sure your space has changed dramatically since.
Oh, sorry. Can I go back to one more thing that's important in business? So I think this might be helpful for your audience. If you haven't been in a role as an employee where you've had to manage people, So you've been like kind of working on your own as part of a team, but you didn't manage people, and now you're going out contracting, being self-employed and running a business. That interpersonal skill might be a big challenge for you, you know, because you need to get paid for your services, and you need to go out to people and sell to them. You need to be able to talk to them effectively. You need to be able to deal with differences and conflict, and that's hard if you haven't. So that could be that would be something that I think would be very relevant for your audience. And that's a lot of what I do as well. Extremely
valuable. And I was going to actually touch on that. Is that something that you offer support with, Rabia, in terms of that interpersonal skills piece?
Oh yeah, it's big for people starting out in their businesses. Yeah, so I do that as well, and it's very powerful. And you know, you just need to tweak the way you do things, not change completely as a person, but just tweak on how you communicate and handle conflict and rejection, because most people are going to say no to you. Most people are not going to buy your services.
Yeah.
So you need to be comfortable with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Get comfortable with no as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And just kind of go, right, it's just a numbers game. Almost like, you know, you just need to keep going.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Do you want me to take
far away. Yeah.
Sorry.
Far away.
So let's move on to your company. So Leadership and HR Solutions. So I know we've briefly mentioned the consultant and the coach in there, but ultimately your company focuses on looking at the HR processes and leadership aspects of companies, and looking at kind of the overall goal there of improving the company's performance by making those little tweaks. Would that be a right statement for that, or what solutions would you yourself say you provide essentially?
Yeah. I guess, what you've described there is the function of HR and leadership development as a whole. What I do in the HR space is, you know, help organizations that have grown rapidly. So they've got, you know, say under 50 employees, and they don't really have any HR processes in place. They're just kind of winging it, you know, and sure, we just need to hire and get people. And as long as they're paid, that's grand. And then when somebody leaves, so it's companies that don't have a formal HR department, I go in and set it up for them. So it's making, like, the function of HR for a business, regardless of size, is compliance. So you need to be legally compliant with the jurisdiction that you're in. And at the moment, I just cover Republic of Ireland. I do plan to expand beyond that later on, but at the moment it's Republic of Ireland. So compliance in your jurisdiction, best practice, because you want to get the best people in as much as you can, and you want to keep them, and you want to develop the ones that you want to develop, you know, and the ones that are not working out, you need to help them. What I do is help organizations to humanely help them get out of the company, you know, and that's, you know, you can call it termination, but I don't call it termination. It's help them to find what's more suitable for them.
Okay.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you don't want somebody that doesn't want to be here. Like, it might have been fine a year ago or 2 years ago, and now it's just not the right fit. So you help that person through coaching to find what's right for them. You know, is it the right fit? And essentially you're helping them move to a better place in life. And it's good for employer branding, your reputation, and, you know, as an employer, and yeah, it's a win-win.
Really interesting points as well, because I think you've touched on, obviously, like, massive expenses as well that people kind of, again, particularly those managing directors that don't have that HR function in-house.
Yeah.
The retention piece, the cost of hiring, the cost of training, they're often invisible costs, but they're quite costly.
Oh, yeah. It takes, I read a recent study, I think it was by Gallup in the UK, the cost of hiring a new person is 50 to 200% of a salary. So that's huge, and that's tangible costs.
Yeah, massive.
Never mind the headaches you have to go through, you know, sieving through hundreds of CVs, interviewing people, and a lot of people just take jobs, you know. They're not in the right job. You're desperate for somebody and you take them on, and then they're not the right. So I help people to kind of figure out what's
right for them,
how to get the best, and how to keep the best, how to retain the best talent, and just a different way of helping somebody figure out if they're not working out anymore, like if they're underperforming. Yeah. So that's the different piece that I talked about earlier. that a lot of organizations, when there's somebody that's underperforming, the plan is to exit them, whatever way it might be in that jurisdiction. So performance improvement plan, put them through a disciplinary process or put them through grievance process, whatever it might be. And that's fine. Yes, you have to follow the laws, but I'm saying let's look at the person as a whole and help them to either stay or exit. And you're still following your due diligence as an employer and you're helping them. And it's good for you and for them. It's good for your employer branding. You're not going to have a disgruntled employee complaining and bitching. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but to other people, because if somebody is unhappy, they go and talk to everyone about it, right?
Yeah.
And they're usually quite
spreads.
vocal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And it spreads. You don't want that. Yeah.
No, very interesting. Very interesting. And I think what you've described, obviously, and I know you mentioned that at the moment, Republic of Ireland is the jurisdiction that you're focused on. Have you come across many organisations that have still got that kind of remote element that they're trying to kind of, I suppose, engage with and keep up with in terms of post-COVID?
Oh yeah, it's still there for a lot of companies, yeah. And the struggle is like, how do you keep people engaged if they're hybrid? Or I guess some companies even have people that are completely remote in different countries.
Yeah.
And it could be the skill set that they need. They struggle with finding it here
locally,
in Ireland. So they're hiring abroad and they don't necessarily know the employment laws around it.
Yes.
Or whether they even have to be employees.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's rules and regulations of what an employee is and what a contractor, so contract for services versus contract of services, two different things. So a lot of small businesses that grow think they automatically have to hire somebody and put them on payroll, on their payroll. But it's not always the case. There's other ways of doing that, especially when you're going to take on your first or second or third person to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's obviously kind of, I suppose, the backstory of Icon Accounting in terms of how it initially started. So very interesting point. The other point I was going to make is that we see that quite often, to be honest, in terms of the UK and Ireland. Because obviously the proximity between both countries is so close.
Yeah.
Typically, it's the UK companies that don't understand that we have a whole different jurisdiction and different, rights, and even, I suppose, the clarification as to employee versus contractor.
Yeah.
The lines can often get very blurred from a UK perspective to an Irish perspective. So again, I suppose the consultation piece in terms of getting experts from each individual country as part of that, I suppose, discussion in the interview stage is probably the best way to kind of, I suppose, approach that challenge. But the point I was actually trying to make, to be honest, Rabia, is we've seen ourselves, and from speaking to our clients, there's a big rush on back to the office. Have you seen that in your line as well, in terms of people trying to get people back into the office? Not even just hybrid. A lot of the people that we're speaking to now are trying to get people back into the office 5 days a week.
I think it was the case like maybe in 21, 22 more than now.
Okay.
But, I was in industry at the time. Like I was an employee at the time, and I know the organization that I worked for was trying to get everyone back.
Yeah.
And they weren't necessarily needed on site as such, but it was more for the engagement piece. So that was a struggle. I think, well, again, it depends on companies that are maybe more forward focused, going, okay, this is the future of work. No one's like, you're going to struggle finding people to do office jobs in the office. You know what I mean? Unless it's like a physical job where you need to be present, like if in construction, if you're building, you need to be on site.
Yeah.
But for office jobs, I think employers that want to progress need to be cognizant and need to adapt that. Yeah. Hybrid is probably a good way then to just be completely remote, because you need that interaction with your staff. Like you need to, it's a family, it's a work family. So you need to hang out with the people.
Yeah.
Not just online.
And that, again, for HR, from my perspective, that must make it so difficult, because on one, I suppose, side of the story, you're trying to say, well, for people's welfare and for, people to be happy and content and to stay in this organization, hybrid needs to be there. But from a HR perspective, then, in terms of trying to actually manage employee welfare, as an example, that must be so much more difficult when everyone is remote and scattered and you're not really seeing people day to day. Yeah.
Even in hybrid, it's hard, right? Like to get those, you might organize events for your employees, and some will be there and some won't be there, even if they're on Zoom or Teams or whatever. So it is a challenge. And I think people from the whole experience of COVID, I think it's affected people's well-being, like mental well-being. And a lot of us have changed, like how we deal with things is quite different.
It's a really fine line in trying to find that balance, because obviously you want to make sure that, like you say, you're progressive, you're being adaptable and flexible with employees to obviously retain the best talent, to attract the best talent. But then from a HR perspective, I just envision nightmares in terms of taking responsibility for people that you can't just grab and say, will we have a coffee? Or, you know, it's not that straightforward anymore. It seems to be a lot more, from a HR perspective and for a HR professional, it must be much more challenging now than it was in 2019.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then even from a health and safety perspective, which sometimes falls under HR, not all the time, depending on the organization, and ergonomics and the liability of working from home.
Yeah.
A lot of employers don't actually follow due diligence.
And invest the time at the start to ensure. Yeah.
Time and money. It's very expensive to get a full ergonomics health and safety check for each employee.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's a space, okay, this is my home office or whatever, this corner is my home office. And then you invest, you know, 500 or 1,000 to get that assessed by a professional to make sure that you have a record of it. So you want to make sure that person's going to stay in that room or that corner for as long as they're working for you.
Yeah, which is again challenging in itself.
And it's hard to monitor that, right? Like
100%.
You're not going to be around all the time. You can't have cameras at home.
Exactly.
Well, I hope not.
That's a whole different conversation.
So I guess we will move on to an aspect of your business, which is the executive coaching. And I know you would work with, let's say, particular clients being like C-suite executives and leaders and developing that skill. So what essentially for yourself would be the key benefits that these professionals have from going through executive coaching, and what would be the key areas that you would focus on? I know it's probably different person by person essentially on what their needs would be. Is it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's life changing if it's a good fit, you know. So that good fit is determined at consultation stage. So I guess I gauge when I'm talking to people before they come and work with me. I would have a consultation with them, and usually they've seen me somewhere or heard about me, and then they book a consultation for. And then I guess I have a questionnaire that I go through. It tells me how serious the person is about coaching. Like, do they actually want, or do they just want to have, you know, a venting session with me for an hour or 45 minutes, right? Because I've done plenty of those. And at the end of the day, you need to be smarter in your business, like to say, okay, I'd love to help, but, you know, I do want to get paid for this as well. So now I guess I've created these stepping stones. Really, it's to help that person and for me to make sure that it's the right fit. So asking questions about, you know, what are they hoping to achieve from the consultation, what areas they want to work on, and what have they tried in the past, and how willing they are to put in the work. So those are the kind of questions that I would ask. Then we meet in consultation, and I would gauge based on how they are. I would be quite good at reading body language, so I can assess if a person is serious and you know, I'm very intuitive and I'm very straight talking and honest, and I create that space from the get-go, even in consultation. And if I feel comfortable and if I feel the other person's comfortable in receiving that feedback, if there's something off, I would actually, you know, say that in consultation to gauge if they're willing to take a different perspective to what they're doing. Yeah. Because if at consultation you can't handle me asking you a question, which does happen, then you're not ready for coaching. Yeah. You know, it's happened a couple of times where somebody, you know, has shared lots of information, you know, just in 5 minutes, and then expect me to have an answer. I'm like, okay, so, you know, I summarize what's been said or how I've received it. And no, what I told you that was, you know, so it's just, if somebody gets a little bit defensive maybe, or, well, I told you that already, why are you asking that question again? If I pose it in a different way, because I need to understand what the issue is to be able to help somebody. Absolutely. Right. So that's where, if somebody gets defensive, they're not usually ready. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, as part of your own journey to self-employment, Rabia, would you agree that it's sometimes as important to say no to potential business as it is to say yes?
Yeah. As much as we like to take money for, you know, business is about money and helping people. But yeah, I have said no to a couple of people because I didn't feel they were ready.
Yeah, well, I think that's very important as well.
Yeah.
Because again, like you say, if you're trying to obviously build up a reputation in the industry, you're trying to build up obviously your own kind of, I suppose, kind of referral business, even from existing clients and people that you've worked with in the past.
Yeah.
It's important to identify people that aren't a fit as early as possible in that process.
Yeah, and it's not like to take it, personally, or feel bad about it. It's probably just not the right time.
Yeah.
Or maybe not the right fit.
Yeah.
The clients that I have that work with me are usually people that like my style of coaching. Straight talking, they want somebody to tell them, okay, this is what it is, and here are other ways of looking at things, or have you tried it? So if a person can't handle my style, it's not going to work.
Long term,
and I'm I want to enjoy what I do as well, so it's not a good match for both sides.
100%,
You want to enjoy what you do, you want to help people. The more I help people, the better it is for me, like to feel happy in what I do and to help people. And then, the reputation, the referrals and all that stuff.
That comes after.
So it is very transformational, to answer your question, coaching, provided the other side puts in, the coachee puts in the work.
As well.
I always give the analogy, I'm a big foodie, so I always give the analogy of, if you're coming to me for coaching to make beef Wellington, for example, and we spend 6 hours, 6 sessions talking about how to make it, and we talk about what kind of meat you get and pastries and puff pastry or whatever you use, the different vegetables. But if you don't go out to buy the vegetables and cook it, you're not going to have a beef Wellington.
Yes.
So that's where you need to go out and buy your ingredients. If they're going to be all organic, you need to go, you know what I mean? Like, so that's the analogy I use, and that relates to people. Or I use the analogy of, if you're trying to build muscle, then this is, I can give you all the tools to do that, but if you're not going to put in the work, you're not going to see the results. If you're trying to lose weight, same thing.
Yeah. No, really interesting. Really interesting. You've given us a little bit of an insight into what your consultation process looks like, obviously, as part of that initial first outreach, let's say, from someone that's interested. You've then kind of gone into, I suppose, how important it is that the reflection and feedback piece is. What I suppose trends do you see emerging, if any, in terms of today's business leaders? Is it a case that you can see that evolving over time, or is it a case that they're kind of, I suppose, what you would have come across in practice and in the corporate world? Or can you see they're kind of starting to shift? Are the challenges for managing directors equally that you're trying to coach? Are those challenges developing, evolving and changing?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. So are you saying, is it different from a bit?
Even from, if you go back to when you were in the corporate world as an employee, do you see that the challenges the business owners or the people that you're actually trying to provide executive coaching to now, are those challenges still very much in line with what they were in 2019? Or is it like that there's a completely new set of challenges that have evolved and emerged over the last number of years?
Oh no, they're the same, except for the hybrid piece that comes up every now and then. When I was in the organization, leading the HR department for a lot of sites, people probably wouldn't be as open with me.
Okay.
Because you're in-house, you're one of your own.
Yes.
So it's hard to be fully transparent.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I'm an outsider, an external person. People open up. I mean, I've made people cry, but in a good way. Like, so people open up. Yeah. When they know my style has changed as well. Right.
Yeah.
In the sense that I create that space and I know I'm going to keep it completely confidential. Whereas when you're in-house, you're an employee, you have to share a little bit of the information with your seniors, in terms of what the issues are.
Yeah.
Whereas as an external person, I don't have to share anything, bar if the employer is paying me for my services to work with their directors or their C-suite level. It's, we met 6 times on these dates because it's just confirmation for payment.
Yeah.
For billing purposes. Yeah.
Okay.
And what would you see being the trends of, let's say, HR practices and leadership in the future?
AI and HR, which is kind of a paradox almost, isn't it? It's a contradiction.
Yeah.
But it's already here. And I think HR professionals need to up their game. And that's something that I plan to bring in for HR professionals. Like, I run a mastermind for HR professionals where we have this, confidential space where we can just talk about people problems that we face. So in that space is providing, how do you bring in AI into your day-to-day? Because a lot of people don't know. And it's not that, I'm not an AI expert, but it's not that the things that need to be brought in are not that challenging. Like they're, it's feasible, inexpensive, and you can learn if you're willing to put in some time.
Do you see it as a risk for HR as well? Not in terms of I'm not saying that AI will ever replace a HR professional or the expertise obviously that a HR professional can bring in, but in terms of if you're working with a large team of 50 people and they're all using AI in their day to day, does that make any kind of, I suppose, challenge for a HR perspective?
I guess like with any job, bringing AI or automation into the equation, yes, you are eliminating some jobs, but you're creating other types of jobs.
Yeah.
You know, but I think where AI will fit into HR profession big time is around employee engagement and changing cultures and building cultures, and that's one of the things that I've learned from having a business is that you can market your HR services in-house to your employees. So use the skills from marketing to help your employees. Okay. And that's something that I didn't know working in-house prior to having my own business. So that's another thing that I bring in, like, well, you are marketing to your staff, to your employees. They are your customers.
Yeah.
You know, just like acquiring business. So use the same techniques to bring your people on board, to sell your ideas, to get them to do the dirty work of HR. Yeah.
And I think just to jump back to an aspect of our business and our client base in particular. So we would work with a lot of people, let's say, making the move into self-employment or that SME space essentially. So I guess what would be the key challenges you would see from a leadership perspective or from a coaching perspective? What should be a focus area for these professionals? Like when they go to a coaching session, is there anything kind of you see come up with self-employed individuals a lot, or
the interpersonal skills? Yeah. That's a big one. Confidence is another issue that comes up. You know, not feeling confident enough to talk to, you know, the senior people in organizations who you have to convince to buy your services.
And time management was another one you touched on, to be fair, earlier, Rabia, in terms of that kind of journey to self-employment.
Yeah.
And again, I think the nugget of information that you gave us at the start is if you invest the time into starting the routine and the structure of your week properly, it will pay dividends later on, and you could potentially avoid that burnout, hopefully.
Yeah, and to go slow and maybe get focused on, you know, and this is one of the things that I've learned, you can't please everybody. So you have to get very focused on what you do. So this whole concept of niching, or what's the other terms that are used for, you know, your target audience. Yeah. So get as specific as you can.
Your ideal customer profile.
Yeah, I guess the way you do, right? Like you're very specific to your tagline.
You do your job, we'll do the rest.
Yeah, and then the one underneath is for contract, right? Accounting services for contractors, right? Yeah. That's you're honing in on that. I know you're expanding a little bit in that space, but for marketing purposes, that's what you need to do, is get focused in on exactly the type of people that you want to help and can help. And, you know, you'll get a lot of other things coming to you as well, other types of people coming to you. But from a marketing perspective, just get very focused. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of the people that you want to work with. And obviously that comes with experience as well, Rabia, which you've touched
absolutely.
on,
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, what type of clients you probably don't want to work with again necessarily, or even from your consultation piece in terms of what businesses are typically getting involved.
Yeah.
In terms of your own professional growth, how do you, I suppose, maintain that? And I know you touched on the meditation piece, so I presume the nature and the meditation definitely help. Any other aspects, I suppose, that you would recommend for someone that's looking to maintain their own professional growth as well?
Oh, yeah, you have to look after yourself, your well-being. So the meditation nature stuff works for me. So whatever that is for you, you know, it's key to do something that you enjoy doing. Yeah. You know, so whatever your hobbies are, make sure you do them. Hang out with people that you enjoy hanging out with, especially if you're working in HR or have a long history of working a lot with people. You can get very conscious of who you hang out with. You know, people start telling you all their stuff. So it's important to hang out with people you want to hang out with in your spare time. And what else?
There must be so much emotional baggage. Sorry to cut across you there, Rabia. Do you know, but
from working in HR,
yeah. Do you know, because
if you don't look after yourself, yeah, and I've definitely gone through, and And it's usually, you know, a handful or two handfuls of people in an organization that will take up the most of your energy for HR professionals.
Okay.
And if you don't get the support from senior management, it's going to be quite a struggle. So you do need to be cognizant of that and what you do with it. You know, whether you might need coaching to find out what's going to be good for you. Yeah.
Okay. You did mention one of your goals, I think, in passing there, in terms of one of the comments that you were looking to maybe expand into other jurisdictions. Have you got any other goals for your business over the next 5 years?
Yeah, with the world of AI and I'm just going to call it automation, you know, there has to be, that would be part of the plan for within the next 5 years, is to amalgamate that somehow. And then bring the coaching piece, you know, market it in other countries as well. Like at the moment, I'm primarily in Ireland, the UK and Denmark.
Okay.
But I do plan to expand in North America. Excellent. Because I lived there for 7 years. So, you know, I can only speak English and that's my target for now.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring people on, not necessarily employees on my payroll, but I do want to bring people on that are going to help me to expand in other countries and maybe in different languages as well. Yeah.
Just before we do move on to another couple of questions, Sarah, one thing you said there was really interesting. Obviously, Vancouver, you lived in the States, you've obviously lived in Ireland for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Does one particular country stand out in terms of the HR legislation side of things, in terms of, I suppose, having the best practices and having the best kind of regulation in place? Or would you find it quite similar across all those regions?
No, it's very different actually. Even, you know, we talked about Ireland and the UK. It's when you get into the nitty gritties, it's quite different. So when I moved to Canada, you know, I thought it was going to be quite similar to here, and it was an eye opener on how different even living there, you know, from a Western country to a Western country, English speaking to English speaking, you know, it's going to be smooth sailing, but it was quite a shock because it's very multicultural from when I left Ireland.
Yeah.
I've been here since the age of 5, since 1985. Ireland, Dublin was a completely different world. So when I left, you know, we weren't that multicultural in Ireland. I was definitely one of the, I think my sister and I were the only kind of brown skinned people in school, primary and secondary. So it was a very different world. Going to Canada, which was very multicultural. The jurisdiction there is each province has different legislation.
Okay.
And then in the States, each state has different legislation. Yeah. So you need to be like an octopus trying to figure out. Then you have the unions involved in that. So there was a lot of learning, but I found it fun and challenging, and it was great. Generally speaking, you get paid more in North America, and you've better perks with employers. Or maybe I was lucky to work for the organizations that I did. I got to travel a lot with work. Lots of hiking and all that kind of stuff as well. But sorry, back to your question. In North America, in Canada in particular, it's allowed, like legally allowed, you are legally allowed to terminate people. And you have to give them, certain, just to simplify it, you need to pay them out, but there are thresholds and different rules and regulations depending on the province you're in. Okay. So you're legally allowed to do that. That's not something that's kind of very open in Ireland yet. It does happen. I think there's pros and cons to it, but it's how you execute it with the person you want to exit. That's very important. Like, you have to do it very in a nice way, because it can affect people a lot, if they get fired. Like, it's not very common in Ireland. Yeah. But that, I don't know if that would ever happen in Ireland or not, but that was a big difference. Yeah. It's called termination without clause. Okay. Without cause, sorry. Yeah. So terminating for no reason, as in, not companies don't necessarily want to go through the whole progressive discipline of going through like a year, 2 year of, your different verbal warnings, written warnings, first warning, and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So,
and again, there's probably pros and cons to that for both organization. And I know you touched on it earlier, obviously, in terms of that coaching piece for finding someone within an organization that you've identified as not really a fit for the organization anymore, and trying to coach them into other roles. Seems to be a little bit more cutthroat in North America, unfortunately, where if that decision is made at the C-suite level, ultimately it's a case that they can act on it immediately and not kind of put that time in into investing in your future, and even if it's not within the organization.
Yeah. It does depend on the company. So some would be more cutthroat than others, just like anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, one of the things that we always want to try and give back, Rabia, because again, we're very appreciative for your time and coming in and joining us and telling us about leadership and HR solutions, is with your ideal customer profile kind of identified at this stage, what would you say to people that are looking to reach out to you? Obviously, they can get in touch, I presume, through LinkedIn. Is there any other kind of avenues that you'd tell them to explore?
Yeah, through my website, leadershipandhr.com. I love working with, in the coaching space, I love working with C-suite executive level and directors, and also with small business owners. Yeah.
Excellent.
Not to say I don't work with other people, but I love working at that level.
And that's where you feel you're a fit, and obviously from previous experience.
Oh yeah, it's my comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Everyone needs one.
Finish on our contractor dilemma.
Absolutely.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the case study.
Yeah. So this one, it's actually pulled from one of our latest posts on LinkedIn as well. So the question is, how should contractors or professionals in general use coaching to support them during downtime in their careers? And what would be the best steps from a career perspective for individuals to take during this downtime? So essentially, I guess it's if someone has a break in contracts, they might get in, I don't know, maybe just a difficult
mental
stage.
block, I think, is probably one of the challenges.
That's
You
the
start
word.
doubting yourself.
Yeah.
You know, there's an awful lot of challenges there, especially, I suppose, when the market has been operating at full capacity for the last number of years.
Mm-hmm.
If there was to be any change in terms of the external environment, unfortunately, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. The chances are there will be changes in terms of the number of people that are actually required. So I suppose the question that Sean is posing is, what would you advise to contractors to kind of keep them on the right trajectory if they are going through a period of non-activity, for example?
So you're talking about when it's slow in business.
Yeah.
When business is slow, when there's a break. So, for example, they could have been contracting for 3 to 4 years back to back and getting extensions with the same client.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden that their service or skill set is no longer required within that organization.
Right.
Let's say they go back to market looking for a new opportunity and they're not getting, I suppose, the bites that they want to get from the recruitment agencies. Would you recommend coaching to those individuals during that period of downtime to kind of keep them on, I suppose, that right trajectory and that positive state of mind? Or
yeah, I mean, you can do essentially coaching at any time when you're in full swing, and when it's downtime, you will have more time to work on yourself. And that's very important for contractors that I think you help in your business. You know, and it's so it's downtime, what do I do? So it's helping you exactly at that time, like, what do you do with this, you know? Like, you need to work on your business development, and then you can work on your self-development, professional development as well through coaching.
Yeah, and personally, from my perspective, I think that would be a massive positive if it was a case I was interviewing someone that had been out of work for 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
That kind of self-awareness piece where they actually have engaged with a coach to make sure that they're staying in line with whether it's industry trends or even just, again, to kind of keep themselves mentally busy.
Yeah.
I think that's a massive positive to someone that's looking to potentially come into an organization after a period of inactivity.
Yeah. It would be like, you know, my example there about if you're trying to lose weight or build muscle, you're going to have more time to work on that in your free time.
Yeah.
So if you look at coaching that way, you're literally going to have more time to, you know, coaching is beyond the sitting with me or whoever for an hour or 90 minutes. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in between to practice the learning, right? Because it's about trying things in a different way. So same as lifting weights, you have more time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good time, but you can do it anytime, but definitely when it's quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Rabia, thank you so much for joining us. We're delighted to have you. Again,
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
We hope
to
plenty of
be
people
here.
will be checking out leadership in HR.
We should do a live coaching session maybe.
Okay, yeah. I'll put myself forward for that. I think I definitely need it as well, to be fair, Rabia. So absolutely, we'll stay in touch and make sure that that's organised. And again, wishing you the very best of luck, obviously, in terms of the next couple of years. I'm sure they're going to be very exciting and moreover very successful.
Thank you.
So,
Pleasure being here.
Thank you very much. And again, as always, a massive thank you to the guys at Factory 44 for having us. Thank you to Shauna, my co-host.
Thank you, Sean.
And we'll catch up again very, very soon.